Watching the world burn, watching the world burn. May 4th, 2025. Let's get into it. Wasn't that the most fantastic trolling video you've ever seen up front? Oh my God, I've never laughed so hard in my life. But you had to nuance the details in that video. So I'm going to play it again for you. I don't ever do this, but it was so fantastic. The person that created it. And anyway, it's up on my X feed. You can go to, and I think it's in the video because it gives accreditation at the end of the video. But the MAGA hat doing the exorcism of the woke person in the bed. Notice that in the video. And then there was Robert De Niro kissing the ring of Trump as the Pope. I mean, those were the two greatest scenes. Of course, the McDonald's fries and all that. Let's watch the video again. Oh man, I'm going to tell you, there are some times in life where you just like, this is the greatest thing ever. I mean, it was the greatest thing ever. All right, so let's so that was the video. So anyway, I've posted that. I mean, you wouldn't believe the outrage that's coming out, because what that video was about was Trump posted a picture of himself as the Pope, an AI-generated image, and it has infuriated Christians and Catholics all over the internet. But I don't think they have the background on I'm going to be, this is speculation. Obviously, I have no clue as to why Trump would do that, other than I'm going to read you my post. And I've been replying to all of these Catholics and so-called Christians out there because this is my summation on that video. So Trump posted a controversial AI-generated photo of himself as Pope. Maybe I have a dark sense of humor, but I found it hilarious. However, for reasons you may not have considered. Catholic NGOs, so-called charities, took in millions, maybe billions, from the Biden administration. They helped the United States federal government with human trafficking of over 20 million people, including children. Pope Francis, a huge fan of this activity, openly opposed Trump's closed border policy. It's hard to believe he had no knowledge of the misery caused by his NGO charities. Certainly the Vatican profited handsomely from the trafficking of 20 million human beings. Do you see why I can't stand the Catholic Church? This was evil, in my opinion. So now, Our Country, Our Choice has put out a video on what's happening on the border. Now, they're not accusing the Catholic. I'm the one accusing the Catholic Church. Our Country, Our Choice, they have nothing to do with it. But I've got that video posted on my X feed, okay? And so you should go check it out, because we're far from solving this illegal immigrant crisis, obviously. Okay, and I did not want the theme of this video to be about illegal immigration. But one of the things that liberals and Democrats don't consider are the human consequences of this human trafficking that has taken place. The Catholic Church should not have been supporting illegal immigration. They should have come out profoundly against it. And we got a video from Our Country, Our Choice Now, this is just a cut from that video. It's about an hour long. I just cut out one section that I found most profound. Let's watch that now.
You know why? Because Trump's in office.
Well, I'm sure President Trump will be happy to hear
I
that.
think that he understands the same God I'm serving.
These are American heroes. These are the kind of people that are all over America, but you don't hear about them. You don't get to see them. Thank God that we had a chance to stop and see these people, because you drive through here, you see nothing for miles, and all of a sudden here is this refuge for children. You heard about babies left on the banks of the Rio Grande. Incomprehensible. But this is the sort of thing that goes on around here.
Right.
And these are the people that rescue those lives. Whether they're from our side or the other side makes no difference.
They're all God's children.
Folks, note that. We'll put the notes about this in the broadcast, because I think some of you will definitely want to contribute to this organization.
Thank you so much. We also have a website, so you can look us up on the internet. We are a 501c3 and have been for over 20-some years.
501c3. That's great. Lori, Stephen, thank you so much.
God bless you.
You're a wonderful person.
Thank you so much.
Good to meet you. People like Lori and Steve Mercer are the reason America really is a great country, and we could not be more grateful for them. When we finished up with them, we took a drive to Eagle Pass, and we were back to our friend Pete Chambers, and he showed us the legal port of entry and explained what's been going on there, because frankly, that's where most of the drugs, illegal aliens, human trafficking, people that are being enslaved are coming through to reach our country. They're coming through the legal ports of entry. He gave us a great briefing on what he's been seeing and the people that need to be held accountable for what's happened to us.
Okay, so that was that. So now I guess I got to continue with the theme of illegal immigration. So now we got one of the smartest people that I know. And I was complaining to a friend of mine that it just seems like there are so many people out there that are so much smarter than me. In fact, probably just about everybody on the planet. But anyway, this is Victor Davis Hanson. And what I found fascinating was, I've talked about this in previous videos, especially my last video that I did on illegal immigration, which is ironic because, when I find these, I'm like, holy shit, he's saying the same damn thing that I was saying. And I often wonder if somehow somebody somewhere watches one of my videos and says, we got to do a video on what this guy's talking about, because he don't make no damn money. And he's a nobody, so we can copy all his material for free and make money off of it. So maybe but I'm not accusing Victor Davis Hanson of doing that, of course. I'm sure that he has his own thoughts. But anyway, he's one smart dude. Let's watch Victor Davis Hanson on illegal immigration.
Where are we on the immigration issue? There's good news and there's bad news. The good news is that we've gone from 10,000 people entering illegally to 0. Mexico is no longer cooperating with the forces of illegal immigration. They're scared to. It's a big success. Now, here's the other part. It was legal de facto for the prior administration to systematically and unashamedly break the law by destroying the border and allowing this 10 to 12 million people to come in illegally and to reside illegally. A manipulation, a distortion, a warping of the law in a very surreal fashion, that somebody who is trying to enforce the law is considered unlawful, and someone who completely made a mockery of it was considered lawful. Hello, this is Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal. At the end of the 90-day period, where are we on the immigration issue? And there's good news and there's bad news. It's sort of like the trade and tariff issue. It's sort of like the Iran denuclearization effort. It's sort of like the Ukraine war. There's a lot of good indicators, but there's not realization or finalization. And that is important, because Donald Trump is polling in the Real Clear average is about 44-45%. He's gone down some. I think the polls on the left are trying to exaggerate that average downward. But nevertheless, that reflects that everything is in suspension. And let's look at how that applies to the border. The good news is that we've gone from 10,000 people entering illegally to 0. And we've got The highest morale ever in ICE and the Border Patrol. People are ecstatic at the work they've done. Mexico is no longer cooperating with the forces of illegal immigration. They're scared to. The wall will be continued all the way to the Gulf in some form or the other. It's a big success. And guess what? There was no comprehensive immigration reform. Remember that kind of bogeyman? We need comprehensive. No, we didn't. We just needed to exist. We just needed to enforce the laws on the books, and we've done that. Now, here's the other part. We don't know how many people were let in under Joe Biden. It may have been 10, 11, 12 million. It's hard to know whether an illegal entry always stayed here or not. But they did chart roughly how many people came in. It was somewhere between 10 and 12 million, maybe 400,000 or 500,000 aliens. But here's the principle that the left has adopted. And I can't believe it. Maybe you can. It's surreal. It's Orwellian. And it's been reified by the district courts, in some cases the circuit courts, and de facto by the Supreme Court because they haven't acted. And the principle is this. It was legal de facto for the prior administration to systematically and unashamedly break the law by destroying the border and allowing this 10 to 12 million people to come in illegally and to reside illegally. The courts did not entertain any objection to that. In other words, there was a blatant destruction of the law by the chief executive. However, the corollary to that is even more disturbing. The incoming administration, who wants to rectify that abuse, in other words, it wants to enforce the law and say that you came in illegally and you shouldn't have because of the prior laxity of this government. Now you've got to leave because you're still breaking the law. And they're stopping these deportations for the most part. So the principle is, it is lawful to be unlawful if you're Joe Biden, according to the courts, but it is unlawful to be lawful if you're Donald Trump. And the result is that we've got these 10 to 12 million people. Are we going to have an immigration hearing for each one of them? Or are we just going to pick people? Now, Mr. Abrego Garcia had 2 administrative hearings with immigration judges, and he was said to be deportable. The third one said, well, if we deport him, he might be in danger by gangs. Now, I don't think there's much of an M13 gang in El Salvador anymore because they're all in that huge prison. So that should be nullified. He didn't say he couldn't be deported. He just said he didn't think he could be deported to El Salvador. They should bring him back and then deport him somewhere else. Deport him to Mexico if you want. But nobody would want him because, unlike our left, they believe that he was a gang member. And by the way, we've had new information that when he was pulled over in Tennessee with 8 illegal aliens with him, and I don't know why he wasn't cited, he was speeding at a high speed without a valid license. Anybody listening right now, if you get in a car and you have 8 people with no identification, and it looks like you're trafficking, and you have no valid driver's license, and you're breaking the speed law, you're going to go to jail. But not if you're an illegal alien trafficker. But here's the new information. The car that Mr. Abrego Garcia was driving, who said he was just bringing construction workers from Texas to Maryland, it was registered under the name of a known human trafficker who had been arrested for that. In other words, he was, Mr. Garcia, a trafficker. So now we have this situation where you cannot deport somebody who beat his partner, who trafficked to smuggle people in, who has gang activity and gang markings on his body and his attire, and is a citizen of El Salvador and is here illegally. If you can't deport him, I don't know who you can deport who is here illegally. So that's where we are right now. Great news on the border, but a manipulation, a distortion, a warping of the law in a very surreal fashion, that somebody who is trying to enforce the law is considered unlawful, and someone who completely made a mockery of it was considered lawful. I'm Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal. Thank you for tuning in to the Daily Signal. Please like, share, and subscribe to be notified for more content like this. You can also check out my own website at victorhansen.com and subscribe for exclusive features in addition.
Okay, so there was that. So then we get into Scott Jenkins. By the way, he's a host now on CNN. I don't know if he can rescue CNN because they're the most distrusted face in news, in my opinion. Well, Fox, ABC, CBS, NBC, MSDNC. I mean, hey, I just heard a story that maybe Rachel Maddow might be being axed. Did you know she makes $25 million a year? Oh my God, to lie to the American people and liberal Democrats believe that shit? Oh my God. But anyway, this is Scott Jenkins on illegal immigration.
I debate this point because I understand your point, and you and I have a disagreement about these individual district court judges. But when you think about what's happened in this country, millions of people have come in. It's the biggest invasion in the history of the United States. We've never been invaded this way, number one. Scott. These illegal aliens, and they are predatory. It is an incursion. And I would ask you to ask any of the families who've lost loved ones if they think maybe that we are at war with the people who have come here, who have committed violent acts, who have murdered people, who have raped people, who have human trafficked people. It is a disaster what's happened in this country, and the president is trying to pull every lever that's on the books to take care of it. And these individual judges are overstepping. What you're essentially saying is that the president, who is the commander-in-chief, cannot determine when we are being invaded. An individual district court judge is going to decide that? No, thank you.
Can I just ask a simple question? Who gets to decide whether the United States is at war?
The president, in my opinion.
No.
If we're being invaded, I want the commander-in-chief to know.
Scott, no. It's actually the Congress.
You're asking if we're being invaded.
I'm asking.
You want to call Congress and see if we're being invaded?
I'm asking a basic constitutional
We'll be taken over before they ever get to the committee.
Who gets to decide whether the United States is at war? The answer is Congress.
I'm talking about if we're being invaded.
So when the president says we're at war, he has to
show we're actively at war.
And really what he needs to do is go to Congress.
Well, you guys discuss it in committee. We'll let in another 20 minutes.
Wait a second, though. I thought that...
All right, so there was that video. So then we come out to, and this is, the reason I'm doing this is everybody says, Kurt, that cybersecurity guy, back up your facts, man. We want multiple sources. We want credibility. You talk about all this stuff, where are your sources? Where is the background? Where is everything that's taken place? We got no proof of this. Where do we go on the internet to find it? Well, you can go to Grok now. Grok's got pretty good search engine on a lot of stuff. In fact, Grok, I was asking Grok about the Catholic Church, and they were not out in the field actually helping the federal government put the illegal immigrants on buses down in Panama and helping them get to the United States. They only took on the illegal immigrants after they had been processed through the border control. And of course, the Biden administration, the ICE back then, because they were told to they would just give them over to the Catholic NGOs, and then they didn't give a shit what happened to the illegal immigrants after that. It was up to the Catholic NGOs. And so Grok says, it was a humanitarian mission. They were there to help out the illegal immigrants. Well, maybe so, right? Maybe these people thought they were doing something good. I don't think so. You saw the one about the babies that the human trafficking were leaving next to the river. Don't you think the Catholic Church should have taken a stand against that? Or a Democrat? Somewhere you got a Democrat neighbor? Why couldn't they take a stand against this? Oh God, I'm getting on my damn tangent. All right, so daggone it. So let's get into Robert Kennedy. He says that we have found a bunch of children now, and so it's a good start. It's not very many. I think he only said, well, I'll let the video speak for itself. It was a very small number. But we got 300,000 missing trafficked children that the Catholic Church, and I think it was the Episcopalian Church. Now, don't quote me on that. I don't want to get sued, but it was a lot of churches that were involved with NGOs, and they were making a ton of money. And my point is that the Pope had to know these Catholic charities were involved in trafficking. Maybe he didn't think about the children. Maybe he was just about, getting the people to places that he thought that they could live a better life. I don't know, but I didn't like the Pope. Let's just put it that way. Obviously, for my video up front. But let's watch RFK Jr. now.
We have ended HHS as the role as the vector, the principal vector in this country for child trafficking. And during the Biden administration, HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking and for sex and for slavery. And we have ended that, and we're very aggressively going out and trying to find these children, the 300,000 children that were lost by the Biden administration.
All right, so that was RFK Jr. So now we're going to go to different topics now, because we've got some good stuff here. So the first one I wanted to hit on is Ukraine. A lot of people, if you've heard Colonel McGregor, he's been on a lot of channels on YouTube, and he talks about that Zelensky was just an actor, and he says that he was a comedian and everything else. And you know what? I mean, sometimes in life we have to do things that we need to survive. And okay, I'm gonna get on myself for a minute. When I was 14 years old, I was growing marijuana, man. I am going to admit to it right now, right on YouTube. I didn't make a ton of money because I was the kingpin. Okay, I would sell a baggie for $5 that big because I had a distribution network that I established. I studied how to manage a business. When you're an illegal drug lord, okay, there's a certain way that you go about it so that the police can't track their way up your network to get to you. Okay, and the key to the whole operation is to know when the police are getting too close to you, which they did. They got damn close to me. They didn't know who the drug kingpin was. All right? But it takes, at 14 years old, managing a drug network. Well, if you want to consider marijuana a drug, the only reason I'm telling you this, it wasn't cocaine, it wasn't methamphetamine, it wasn't fentanyl. I don't know of a marijuana cigarette that's killed anybody in my lifetime, but, maybe it has, I guess if you smoke too much of it, it will, just like a cigarette. How many cigarette manufacturers have gone to jail? So I don't mind admitting this to you, but I was very proud of my business. And I managed it on a moped. All right, so anyway, enough on that. I know I got off on a tangent. But anyway, let's watch a quick video of Zelensky when he was a comedian. This is the president or the prime minister of Ukraine. Now, like I said, your past doesn't mean who you are today. I'm not the person that was selling marijuana. The reason I told that story, I'm not the person that I was that's selling marijuana when I was age 14. So Zelensky is not the person that he was when he was a comedian. Okay? In fact, I respect the fact that I think he speaks Russian. He speaks Ukrainian. Well, he grew up Russian, which is ironic, being the president of Ukraine, the Nazis in Ukraine. And also he speaks English pretty fluently. How many people do you know that can speak 3 languages? So I'm not dissing Zelensky, but I did want you to see this video to know who he was. Let's watch that now.
Алло, Зеленский? Все, не о чем тебе больше шутить. Перед вами лучший Петя среди самых лучших Петь. Я устроил вам беспис, поставил шах и мат. Доведу вас до экстаза и продам свой шоколад. Берите паспорт, деньги, карты, чемоданы, личный код. И летите все вы в Пизу, между нами тает лед.
Okay, so wasn't that crazy? That was crazy. So now I've got a little bit more information for you on what actually took place as to why the traitor, Mark Milley, who needs to go to jail. I don't think he got pardoned, did he? And I hope the Trump administration will bring him back, because they can reactivate him and then prosecute him under the military law of justice. Or, God dang it, I shouldn't. Sometimes my brain draws a blank. The military code of military justice. Anyway, they could prosecute him under that and lock him up in Leavenworth, and that's where he needs to go. But now I got a bit more information on why we left $85 billion of military equipment in Afghanistan. And so, from what I understand, the military equipment was left there for the Taliban. Well, we knew the Taliban was going to get the equipment, but we didn't know why they were going to get the equipment. Well, it was because they wanted the Taliban to march on Syria and to be able to destabilize the entire region. Okay? And that was all basically a CIA operation. So we literally wanted the Taliban under the Biden administration to get the military equipment. And that's why when Milley told Trump in the first 4 years of Trump's administration, Trump said, why would we leave $85 billion of equipment? Well, it's because it was a CIA operation to destabilize Syria, to give them all that military equipment so that they could conquer and do things that the United States wanted them to do. Isn't that incredible? Now, you'll have to study it a lot further. I haven't dug real deep into it, but it does make a certain kind of sense as to why we did that. Unfortunately, it cost 13 American soldiers' lives, which veterans don't give a shit about, which pisses me off. But anyway, so that was it. But I did want you to watch this video. Now, the speaker in the video is not Big Balls. Big Balls is the young kid, which you don't get a good look at his face. If you want to look up Big Balls on X, when I saw him, he looks like he's only 17 years old, man. and he's famous now. I wish I could have been called Big Balls. I'm just that cybersecurity guy, and nobody even knows who I am. But anyway, let's watch this video on the weapons left behind to the Taliban. And this is another thing I wanted to point out to you, is the Democrats always call it the Inflation Reduction Plan, which means just the opposite. It's the Inflation Increase Plan. And if it's the Institute of Peace, it's actually the Institute of War. So this is how the media and the government play the mind game on the American people. But let's watch that video now.
And thanks to President Trump, he's now signed 2 executive orders to start to reduce the number of agencies in the government, and the Institute of Peace was one of them, which is why our team went in to try and understand what was going on. And that's when we found all of the craziness, like the weapons in their armory. We found the payments to the Taliban.
Okay. So try to hide the evidence.
Right. So just a few hours after we got into their headquarters, we found that their chief accountant had actually deleted over 1 terabyte of accounting records from several years. So you'd have to ask the question, well, why would somebody do that? And the Doge team, fortunately, was able to recover that data with the help of a few great employees at the Institute of Peace. And I think the most troubling thing was they received $55 million a year from Congress, and any money that went unspent, instead of returning that to Congress, they would sweep it into a private bank account, which had no congressional oversight. And that's what they would use to fund things like events at their headquarters and the private jets. And so I think it's a great example because most Americans don't know what's going on at a lot of these smaller agencies. And this is, I think, the most extreme case of some of the wasteful spend that we're finding.
So the agencies are hiding money from you. They're sending it to the Taliban. They have loaded weapons in the department buildings.
At the Institute of Peace.
At the Institute of Peace.
Yes.
That's right.
So this is a cover-up when you guys roll in.
This one, yes, a cover-up. Yeah.
It's a cover-up.
They did delete a vast amount of financial information. That's really a definition of a cover-up.
Isn't that illegal to delete evidence?
Yes.
Shred documents?
It is. It's certainly illegal to delete accounting records that Congress would certainly want to know where the congressionally appropriated funds are going from taxpayers.
When you catch them going Hillary style on their computers, do you refer this to the Department of Justice?
In this case, we did refer the evidence in the accounting example to the FBI and DOJ, and we were proud to do that. So yes, we did.
Okay, so that's it. Now, before I get into the rest of the video, which is just going to be basically reading posts from X, because I still got more material, we got some big story coming up. James O'Keefe, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's busted a lot of stories. I followed him for years. I can't remember what was his previous company. Anyway, there was falling out, and so he came out and he's got a big story that I'm hoping he'll get to release. He said, by the way, I'm hearing the thunder. I was going to make the video during a thunderstorm, so it looks like we're going to get the second half of the video here in a thunderstorm. And that's why I'm not out hiking. I was going to go to the Marshall Swamp and make the video with a hiking video, but I can't get out today. And I wanted to get a video up because I've been sick as a dog. But anyway, so something big is coming. And he's given the story to Alex Jones. So if Alex Jones and James O'Keefe end up dead, then you know that it was a big story, and he couldn't get it. I posted on X, man. Get the story out now. Get the story out now. You know, don't wait on it. But it's building up to something big. Let's watch his video right now.
I'm going dark. I'm not suicidal. Pray for me. This one scares me, guys. I'm going dark. I'm not suicidal. Pray for me. This one scares me, guys.
Okay, so that was James O'Keefe. Wasn't that crazy? I've never seen him say something crazy like I'm going dark. And my question was to him was, where are you going to go dark? This is the modern age. We got satellites overhead. I mean, I think that if the government is going to hunt him down, they're going to hunt him down. But I don't know. I mean, maybe the government just doesn't know what the story is, and so they're not taking it seriously. I hope that's the case. All right, so we're going to get into a couple posts here. So this is Insurrection Barbie. Just when you think the media can't go any lower, they have to prove you wrong. The Associated Press has outdone itself with a jaw-dropping, insane article that frames the Trump administration's effort to track down, and she says 450,000 unaccompanied migrant children as some kind of sinister overreach. Now, I don't know where she pulled the 450,000 number from. I only know of 300,000 missing children from every news report or every report that I've heard. But, it could be. I mean, the Democrats are pure, freaking, unadulterated, demonic, evil creatures. Okay? We still got to make that video. but I only have so damn much time. All right. These are kids, some as young as toddlers, who flooded across the border under Biden's watch, only to be released to barely vetted sponsors and then vanish into a black hole of bureaucratic neglect. And I say Catholic NGOs. All right. The 2024 federal audit exposed horror. 85,000 kids unreachable, 32,000 dodging court hearings, and 291,000 never even enrolled in immigration processes. Yet the AP clutches at its perils over door knocks and DNA tests as if checking on vulnerable children at risk of trafficking or abuse in the next real crime. The AG's argument collapses under basic logic. How is it wrong to ensure these kids are safe? Americans aren't fooled. 70% support deporting criminal migrants per a 2024 Rasmussen poll. On the outrage over cases like Laken Riley's murder shows zero tolerance for lax oversight. The Trump team's multi-agency push to locate these minors isn't heavy-handed. It's the bare minimum to prevent the human trafficking nightmare. The media is now coming out pro-human trafficking or not. So, well, I don't know. I should stop the video right here. It's getting really long, isn't it? All right. We're going to keep going. It should be more than an hour. Breaking news. Mike Waltz was told to resign as the NSA director because he was holding secret meetings with foreign nationals, and it pissed Trump off big time. So one explanation, no corroborating evidence. Listen to the thunder. Thunder. Remember that song? Thunder. Thunder and lightning. I love that song. And then I was going to get into a whole post. I'm going to skip this one because it talks about the ethnic cleansing in Karela, USSR, Finland's dirty secret of World War II. If you didn't know, Finland was involved in killing a hell of a lot of Russians, and now they're part of NATO. You wonder why the Russians are pissed off? We're going to do that. We're going to do that whole post. It's a big one, and I'm not going to get into it on this video. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I agree with this. I represent the base when I'm frustrated and upset over the direction of things. You better be clear the base is not happy. I campaigned for no more foreign wars, and now we are supposedly on the verge of going to war with Iran. I don't think we should be bombing foreign countries on behalf of other foreign countries. Israel foreign lobby, owns the Congress, owns the U.S. government. Okay, let's just keep going. And then in order to pay us back for hundreds of billions of dollars we gave Ukraine, and they used the money laundering, sold weapons and gave them to them enemies. And their leader is a dictator who canceled elections, who was involved in the first impeachment of Trump and campaigned for Biden. We watched the video on him. But wasn't that impressive with his dick? Do you think he was really using his dick to play the piano? I was like, no. Maybe it was like a programmed piano. But I mean, and of course if he's got a dick like that, a lot of women are happy around Zelensky. Let's put it that way. Did we ever find any? Did we ever, that oil in the Middle East make us rich? The answer is no. We are 36 trillion in debt today. So why on earth would we go over and occupy Ukraine and spend an untold amount of future American taxpayer dollars defending and mining their minerals, as well as potentially putting American lives at risk in future war? Why don't we just mine our own rare earth minerals that are tied up on federal lands that the government confiscated years ago? And boy, it goes on from, I'll finish up. We'll finish reading off this post. It's long, and then we'll make the video from here. I apologize. These videos get too long, but I have so much information I want to convey to you. I'm sorry. I also campaigned on accountability for the communist and tyrannical acts made by the government during COVID. Yet the COVID vaccine still has FDA approval, even though there are millions reported injuries and deaths, and this mRNA vaccine is known to have horrific side effects and does not stop people from catching COVID. And to this day, it's still on the childhood vaccine schedule. Why on earth is this happening? Hasn't Big Pharma made enough billions and billions and billions of dollars on this lie? I also campaigned on accountability for all the lawfare that was waged against the American people in the past 4 years. What about all the people that were locked up in jail and the abuse that they went through? And when those vicious attorneys and judges ever going to be held accountable for the lives they ruined? And I campaigned for an end to waste, fraud, and abuse of the American people's hard-earned tax dollars. I believe the DOGE mission is one of the most important things happening today in our government. And yet, where are the repercussions that we should be voting on in Congress? And one of the biggest issues in the nation that I have fought for, and early on was the one and only ones that took a loud, screaming stand against the evil transgender assault against our children. Most normal people in this country can't even comprehend how it is allowed to happen to kids who by law can't even get a tattoo, drive, or vote. How did so many of our teachers turn into predators themselves that groom children with gender lies that should all out effort by Republicans to end this insanity? Oh my God, it just keeps going. I'm running out of breath. And look at the extreme nature of our rogue judicial system that is so defiant that there are judges that defy our nation's laws and block the deportation of literal enemies of the United States of America. Where is the outrage and moral courage to dispose of this treason? Sadly, not in Congress. And what about election integrity? This should be the most important issue that Republicans aggressively fight to protect, Because without secure elections, protected from illegals voting and protections from stealing our votes, the American people have lost their power. When you're losing Marjorie Taylor Greene, you're losing the base. And Trump isn't on the ballot in the future, so do the math on that. And with that, peace out. Stay free.